What's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People podcast. You should never leave us unsupervised. It's the Kyle Show.
Oh, oh,
We've
and
said
we're
it.
figure we're figuring out new technology too. We've
Well,
we've
there's no
blurred
we
the
here, sir. That
background.
was you, and you get all the credit because I didn't figure this out. So that's pretty sweet.
Trying to give you credit. Take the credit, sir.
You try, yeah. You were trying to give me a freebie, and I was just like, "Hey, we didn't turn the homework in, teacher. Can you please collect it?" We're also talking about how Kid Rock has just completely went in the shitter, which is fun because
I
that's.
mean, that's not breaking news, but
I will say, for no matter what side you're on politically, it's crazy to me how much money both of those parties have and their supporters. Because
oh
I
yeah,
lived in Nashville, and he's got a bar downtown that I've been to a couple of times. Even if he was never a successful musician, which hey, I remember from his fucking song that he went platinum 7 times, which is nuts. Um,
so it was that the
man,
one
that
where he ripped Metallica in the
yeah,
background.
he ripped off Sabbath
Yeah,
True.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Yeah, and then he did it again with All Summer Long. That was a Leonard Skinner, Sweet Home Alabama. It's like, what are
There's
you
a
doing?
there's a video I have to show you about that where like. Anyway, we don't need to fall into this at the
Oh
beginning
yeah,
of the
let's
episode,
let's
but
let's keep the people here,
it's
please.
yeah.
Oh man,
Oh,
I haven't watched it yet, but Kyle's gonna make me, and I'm gonna be mad, but I'm gonna laugh. So I'm gonna
yeah.
watch this new
And
Kid Rock
I
song.
I
But
have I have I have to bring up this little piece of trivia for you. In
oh,
that last song you just mentioned, the all summer, what is it? All
All
summer
Summer
long.
Long. I know
Uh,
because my band before Cheap Whiskey, we used to do it, and people love that song. And I'm like, that's Sweet
there
Home
there is
Alabama.
there is part of that song that is an iPhone ringtone that they directly I'm not making this up. It is directly an iPhone ringtone that they just like played on an instrument and it's in the song because that's how little effort as a musician he puts into it. And as soon as you hear it and then you hear the iPhone ringtone, you're like, holy fuck.
I all right,
It's
now I have to figure out what part that is. It's gonna drive me nuts. That's good.
hey, Vikings football. Let's let's get back on track.
Speaking of shitty music from our generation,
Did it
this
all
is
for the
episode
cookie.
457. Did it all for the cookie because I like Limp Bizkit. Fun fact for you guys that don't care, because you're going to
I
get
do
this
too.
information shoved into your ear holes because I'm going to make you listen. My first album that I ever bought, I saved lunch money when I was in
$3
middle
bill?
school. $3 bill, y'all. I
Yeah.
loved their cover of Faith by Wham so much, mainly because he just shouted the F word, and I was
You
like, oh my
gotta have
gosh,
faith.
people say that. That's crazy, but
Gotta have
yeah. But hey, Dalvin Cook had a game. What a terrible. Yeah, this is one of those. I was listening to Locked On today. I was listening to Luke Braun,
what up?
and he's talking about moral victories and defeats. This felt like a moral defeat, but an actual win.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm kind of with Luke on that. I was disagreeing at first, but I let everything set in. You can't go and count moral victories if you're not willing to accept actual wins, even though it feels like it was a defeat. This game felt like a defeat because the Vikings were dominating, and they let the Steelers come right back in. Not really sure why they got away from the game plan that they had originally that was working so well, but we named the episode after Dalvin Cook. 27 carries, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is coming off of what, less than 2 weeks ago he tore his rotator cuff. I'm sure there was
Unbelievable.
some drugs that helped him do that, but I
Nah.
love this kid so much, and I know that myself and Kyle will be the first to call ourselves out. We don't like that he's not healthy and can never play a full season, but when he plays, he's spectacular. He really is.
We've always said that when he's healthy, he's a top 10 back in this league, with the potential to be all the way up in a top 5. You can make the case for him. The issue with Dalvin Cook has always been when he's healthy, and like that's what scares me away from his contract. But yeah, when he's on the field, he has the potential to do what he did against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would love him more if he would stick around and take a little bit of a pay cut and be part of more of a rotation, because hey, we can keep you healthy and fresh and you know He's
Yeah,
part
that's the
of the
thing. That's
team's.
a fun thing we could talk about later, like in the offseason. Is we would all say we would take a pay cut if we had that much. I can't say that I would turn it down.
Would you take a pay
I
cut?
feel like
Literally any job. I mean, let's be honest here. Literally at any job you've ever had at any point in your life, would you take a pay cut? Because my answer is no.
no, no. And if
No.
it came to
So
millions and millions like that, you'd be set, but you would always have that regret. And then what does that do for you? Because your peers aren't going to take that pay cut, and you're going to be looked at as the guy who's like, why would you do that? You should have taken the money. But I know what you mean. I agree. I wish that it was more of a rotation. I'm not saying that Alexander Madison is anywhere close to Dalvin Cook. He's a clear number 2. There's a reason he's a great number 2, but there's a pecking order for a reason. Well, but I wanted to give him
Madison out.
We got to talk about that too, because we have transactions to talk about too. Where did this come from today? Sorry, as I scroll here, this is super unprofessional. Vikings claim running back Wayne Gallman off the waivers from the Atlanta Falcons uniform I see there. I'm guessing that's where he used to be. I've heard the name once or twice, but Alexander Madison is on COVID IR. There's other news. I don't have that right in front of me today. There were some weird transactions that went on, but you should know there will be no Alexander Madison, it looks like, for the Monday night game a week from now against the Bears. So that's interesting. It'll be more of a Keenan Wangwu. How I forget how
we need to decide how to pronounce his name and just stick with it. You know that.
All right, let's see. No kick returns. Well, that's really hard. And I don't see him under any of the rushing or receiving. Thanks a lot, Keenan. We're just going to call him Keenan. That's it. It's first name basis. Yeah, let's jump into this game. I'm going to give my game ball to KJ Osborne. I really like that he had some clutch receptions. There were some drops. We're going to get into the drops too, because Justin Jefferson did not have a good outing. But he is stepping up right now in the place of Adam Thielen. You won't see it on the stat sheet here. 9 targets, 3 receptions. Jefferson was just as bad, 7 for 15. But we need a guy to step up, and I really like the leap that he has made from year 1 to 2, because he was a non-factor in every sense of the word last season. But if by some miracle we can get Adam Thielen back this Monday night game or the next game, I believe against the Rams, what a great job filling in, because that drop off between Thielen to 3, that was kind of a nightmare for us last year. And now I don't feel as bad with him and Conklin stepping in. So kudos to them. Yeah. I'll give it to KJ Osborne. I want to go defense, but I'm not gonna lie, I picked this on the fly. So sorry.
I mean, I have to go with Dalvin Cook. You have to give a game ball to Dalvin Cook for a performance like that, even though it was a real strong first half performance. Well, by the whole team, to be frank, it was a first half performance, but it was still a special, fun game to watch him. I want to give maybe a half game ball, not quite a full game ball, just a half. We're going to slice it down the middle, and we're going to give it to Ezra Cleveland. Here you go, Ezra. Hey, who I think I thought he would. I think Ezra is playing some darn good football in spurts for the Minnesota Vikings. There's a play that you and I were talking about on Twitter where they pulled him. They had him all the way off to the side making a lead block out there, and he just absolutely pancaked and leveled a guy. I love to see that. I love to see the physicality. I think he's a great player for the Vikings who's going to continue to improve upon. That was a good pick. Good offensive lineman. So they get to shout out to both of them this week.
Andrew, before we highlight your comment that's on the screen right now, you sent us a Facebook message. Confirm that? Yes or no? It's a trick question. All right, answer this accordingly. Did you send us a Facebook message, and what did it say? I'm going to ask you live, because if it's true, there might be a positive response there. Donkey to Boyd and Breland. Get, as soon as the season's over, take their car keys. Don't even let them drive away. Put them straight on a plane and kick them the fuck out. I'm sorry. I am so sick of these corners just having doofus plays. Nice. Yeah. So you did win it. So this is our survival league winner here, Andrew. And you're the only one in the comments right now. So you get all the glory until somebody else wants to chime in. Congrats on that again. We'll talk about that later. But Yeah, the corners were awful in this game. Minus Patrick Peterson, he's the bright spot, and it sucks because we all know that he is a shell of what he used to be. In comparison, that shell that's here is still pretty good, but outside of him, I trust none of these corners. And Mackenzie Alexander has fallen off tremendously, which is really weird. This is probably, and I hate this for you guys. I hate this for myself. I hate this for all Vikings fans. But I think corner is the number one need for this team. Absolutely.
It
and
is.
they need a lot of things. They need defensive ends. They need linebackers. They need safety depth. But Jesus, man, they need corners.
Here is why Vikings social media is going to go nuclear come draft time. Because, hey, we're probably going to get a new GM.
Yep.
Rick Spielman, I think we talked about that, where maybe he gets promoted up somehow. We're going to do the John Elway thing and make up a position, promote him. But we're going to bring in a new guy who's going to be the GM and in charge of the draft and all that stuff. We're going to get a new head coach. It's going to be an offensive-minded head coach. And the first pick for the new regime is going to be a draft and develop corner. Yep. And people are going to hate that. But that's corner, linebacker, defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a case for any one of those three in the first round of the draft.
Well, before we get to stats, let's talk about the defense, because Anthony Barr is gone. I don't see how you keep him. And I love him. I'm so grateful for your time. I have nothing negative to say about Anthony Barr. I remember him with a cast on one arm. I think it was the arm he was running down in Atlanta and just punching a ball out of a running back's arms with his arm in a cast. Like, the dude is a monster linebacker, but he's going to be gone for sure. We don't know if Ev's going to come back. I hope that he does. I think he'll stay as a rotational player, but we don't know what the hell's going on with Danielle Hunter. This is 2 years in a row with massive injuries.
Yeah.
I don't know if Xavier Woods is going to be invited back. I hope that he is. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's great by any means.
Hey, I think he will get an invite back. I could see him also getting because he has played pretty well. So I think that he will have options on the table, and you might be looking at Minnesota as a retool / rebuild. And so he might be one of those guys who's like, maybe I want to go elsewhere where I have a better opportunity to win right now. So that's an interesting one to look for.
Also, I just want to throw out for the internet, if anyone that has never watched our show is watching now, give us a shout out in the comments here, and we'll don't give us the shout out. Shout yourself out. We'll put you up on the screen. But this is for all of Twitterland and Viking fans. Yeah. For all you guys talking shit about Harrison Smith, dunk your head in bleach. Just do it right now. I hate you. I hate every one of you. The man won this game for us. This would have been another epic collapse. Might have gotten Mike Zimmer fired. I mean, this could have been the game that got him shit canned in the middle of the season. He single-handedly won the game for you. I don't say won the game. He saved the game. He's still very good. Players get less good as they get older. It's weird. It's like it happens in this thing called life. Shut up on Twitter. You don't know shit. You know nothing.
Unless you're Tom Brady.
Oh, God. 700 touchdowns. Shout out to the GOAT. It's undisputed. He's the greatest of all time. It's not even a conversation. Goodness.
I read some crazy stat. I'm going to get it wrong, but it's something like Tom Brady will have more yards thrown since he turned 40 than like what RG3 had in his time with the Redskins, or it's some crazy stat like that where you're like, what? How is that even possible?
Think about this. So he's 192 touchdowns. Kirk. So that from, and I'm tying this into Viking stuff, guys. Obviously the hat. You got the sweet hat. I remember Brett Favre throwing his 500. Thank you. His 500th touchdown to Randy Moss on a terrible game they lost to the New York Jets in 2010 when the Jets were actually really good. But it was so weird.
Fireworks going off.
It was so crazy. It was in New York. They lost the game. It was rainy, but his 500th career touchdown was to Randy Moss. And I was like, this dude's untouchable. There's nobody's going to beat this record. Mm-hmm. The gap between 508, which was his last touchdown to Percy Harvin, to now Tom Brady is almost Kirk Cousins' career. It's almost his career. What? Holy crap, dude. The man he's a living legend. Buffalo, I feel bad for them. I remember watching Diggs, even though I want to hate Diggs so bad after him pushing his way out. I remember watching him, looking the Chiefs celebration going to the Super Bowl again last year. I'm like, I feel bad for the kid. He wants to win.
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough for the Bills, man. I think they're slow. You got to run the ball. You got to run the ball. If you don't have a good running back, you're not going to get far. Buffalo, GM right here. I'm just going on tangents. This is why we need Adam. We need an adult here, so I shut up more.
Oh man.
Let's talk about the stats for a second. Kirk Cousins did
Okay.
not have a good game.
No.
I'm not blaming this game on Kirk, but when you only complete 14 passes, it's not good. He did not get sacked, which is nice. There were 2 interceptions. I don't believe one of those were his fault, but his QBR was 22.6 and his rating was 63.4. This is a stinker of a Kirk Cousins game, but he won. So, and it's a primetime game. I don't care what you say. This is a winning football team. They came in 6-5-1. It's a primetime game. He played terrible and they still won. That's the one thing Luke said today, which was really cool on his show. He's like, think about how this could have been. If they lost, the narrative changes, but think about all the bad things they did from the end of the third quarter and all in the fourth, and that still wasn't enough to make them lose. It's a good way to think about it. That's not the way I review this game, but he has a point.
Did you see the photo taken after the end of the game?
Yes,
a bunch of
I know what you're talking about.
But all the young bucks, all the defensive guys are out there,
there
and they're all posing. Folded. They're all doing the Shawn Michaels, the badass, and Harrison Smith is over there, the grizzled veteran, and he's got his helmet in one hand, and he's just like looking at the camera, like we barely won.
We almost fucked this up again, guys.
He's got this look like we barely won this game. I ain't celebrating shit. Someone in the comments pointed out that he looked like Old Man Logan, Wolverine from the comic books.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
what a great reference! What a great
Wolverine. He's just like old and tired, and like that. That's what Harrison Smith looked like.
He's a gangster, man. God, what a great player.
To him for punching that ball out at the end of the game.
Well, I wish that he would have had the craziest stat line outside of Eric Kendricks over here. Double-digit total tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for loss, and a quarterback hit. Harrison Smith's here with 5 tackles, 4 by himself, a sack, a tackle for loss, a pass defended, and a quarterback hit. If he would have had an interception, I mean, this would have been one of the best defensive player single performance games, probably in recent memory for the Vikings, because he's in every stat except for a touchdown. Just needed that pick 6 to seal it off, but not a bad day for some of those guys.
You know what I've always loved about 22 Harrison Smith for the Vikings? He's a beast. He's such a beast on the field. He can do everything that you just said. And then you listen to him speak, and he's just kind of quiet. He's just kind of
happy-go-lucky.
He's just like, yeah. Yeah. You don't really get too worked up, and he just really doesn't have too much of an ego. But then you get him on the field, and he's out there like punching balls loose and going at blitz
getting ejected from all the games that I go see him in because he's knocking people's heads off.
Yeah, it's like you get him on the field, and he's just like he's a different animal. He really has that switch that he flips when he's on the field. That's fun. He's a fun player.
So you remember last year when the Vikings couldn't stop a nosebleed, much like this year, but they're a little bit improved with the 2 big guys. Yeah, the Vikings had 242 rushing yards. We really thought Dalvin Cook had 100 yards in the first quarter. We were like, oh shit, he's going to break Adrian Peterson's record. I believe truly, had they put in the package to get CJ Ham in, and they just did what New England did Monday, and they just put a tight end in and the fullback in on every play, he could have broke that record this game pretty easily. Their defensive line wasn't doing well, and TJ Watt left the game. That's when I kind of figured, okay, the Vikings have a chance. But 242 rushing yards here. Kirk, Madison, and Cook all led the way there. Jefferson had a negative rushing stat line, so that sucks. But Kirk, 2 rushes for 14 yards, scrambling a little bit. I was getting kind of nervous there, but all right, Kirk, I see you out there adding your rushing stats. Pretty cool.
Scrambling Kirk.
It sounds so weird.
He's known for.
Yeah. Minnesota receiving on
RPO.
200. Oh God, it makes me think of RG3 and how much he hates on Kirk now. And it's like, you got benched for Kirk Cousins, bro. Just stop.
Yeah.
I think I said that online somewhere 1 or 2 or 15 times. The receivers here, KJ Osborne led the way, 3 for 83 with a touchdown. Justin Jefferson, 7 for 79 with a touchdown. Not a great day by him. There were a lot of catchable balls, but they were tough. But he had 15 targets this game, and he didn't haul in half of those. So I know he was probably beating himself up. He's still a monster. He's going to have games like that, especially when you're so reliant to force it to him. But he still scored. That's fine.
No one runs.
No, that's not true. That's not true, Andrew. Have you seen giraffes? Yeah, those are pretty fun. That was a terrible joke. Nobody laughed at that either. I don't deserve any laughs on that. Okay. Tyler Conklin, 2 for 2.
If we had a cricket sound effect, I would play it.
Thank you. That was a terrible joke by me. Defensive side of the ball, we already went through some of those. Eric Kendricks led the way, 11 total tackles, which is great here. Here's a great stat. Big Ben, the leaning tower of pancakes, known as Ben Roethlisberger, 5 sacks in the game. Man, is he terrible. Woof. He is not that good.
He looked like he was ready to retire at halftime. The way he was getting so banged up in the first half.
like that guy from Buffalo that just up and left in the middle of the game.
I forgot about that.
That's crazy. That happened in our generation. It was I think it was a DB.
I was going to say linebacker, but yeah.
You might be right. I just remember laughing because it's like, I think I'm done with this NFL thing.
Hey, though, credit to Pittsburgh. They came back after that second half with a game plan. Roethlisberger came back and he was like, "Hey, let me dust off the old shoulder here and look." He was
getting pissed too. Like they had penalties, they had pressure getting in all the way. He was getting beat up, and he's like, "Guys, I'm too old for this crap." Oh yeah, that was cool too, Andrew. They slow motioned that on the exit for the commercial break. It was a good hit. It was a clean hit, but man, it didn't look like it felt great.
It looked. I know how my knees feel on any given day, so I can't imagine a professional athlete who's been at it as long as what Ben Roethlisberger has, what he has to feel like. So yeah, that hit probably did feel like it was going to kill him.
Bashad Brilliant had the only interception from Minnesota, took it back 18 yards, no kick returns. 3 punt returns from D.D. Westbrook, 3 for 31. Here's the issue. This is going to be something. He's going to stick around because he's did enough. He won the game in Minnesota to beat Green Bay. He's done enough. But Greg Joseph indoors missing again. Now, I will say Chris Boswell did miss one as well. He missed his only field goal attempt. But Greg Joseph missed a field goal and an extra point. That's another 4 points. It would have been 40-28 had you did your job correctly, sir. Have to say it. Yeah. Kicker is still an issue here. Looking for
an issue. I still think you gotta. I don't know what to do with the kicker. I still think you stick with him.
Yeah, you got to. You have to. There's not
what do I know?
The drop off there is as bad as if we went to Sean Mannion. It would be. It would just be bad for that position. So he's going to stick around.
Yeah,
but it's
too bad
tough,
we can't
man.
Draft. Too bad we can't draft a kicker.
Yeah, maybe like the 5th round or something
in Vegas.
Yeah, that's weird.
He just got himself a contract extension.
Hey, you know what we could do? We could trade for a kicker that was on the Jets. There are some blunders by this general manager. Those are the questions that we have. But this makes the Vikings move up. They're almost back to 500. They're the first team out of the playoffs right now. There are a lot of 6 and 7 teams that are good. Unfortunately, the 49ers won again. Had they lost to the Bengals, the Vikings would have been in. Cowboys beat Washington this weekend. That helped. I'm trying to think who else lost. The Panthers are terrible. Seattle they won a game, but they won against Houston. That doesn't really count. Yeah, Carlson did sign an extension. You're right, Andrew. So did their punter. Just handing out money to special teams over there. That's a weird organization. I mean, I'm happy for Daniel Carlson. Don't get me wrong, but God, Las Vegas is weird.
Yeah, he was really able to turn it around. You got to give credit to that kid. I thought that Minnesota had just immediately ruined his career, but
Mm-hmm. Well, if you get a good fucking placeholder, I guess it helps. That's weird. That's a thing that needs to happen. We've said that before.
I started arguing with a guy online about that.
Yeah, people, it's so dumb. I was doing that about the UFC this weekend. I was just like, people are talking about Dustin Poirier losing, and he's like, they're riding Conor McGregor's jockstrap again. It's like the guy got knocked out by that guy earlier this year. You guys forget that it's literally the same calendar year we're in right now. You guys forgot about that.
Yeah.
I digress. So let's talk about the positives from this game. The defense did its job for well over 3/4, which was or right at 3/4, which was really nice. They're not at full strength again, but hey,
what team is?
And at this point in the season, you're
Right.
lucky to have a 2 or 3 game stretch where everybody's there. The nice thing about having this Thursday night game and then the next one being on the 20th is this is pretty much a bye week. I mean, 3 days removed from it being an actual bye where there's 2 weeks off. So they don't play again until right now, a week from now. And this game happened, 4 days ago? So you're going to get some people that are going to get healthy. I really hope Adam Thielen can make a return, but a high ankle sprain is usually like a 3-week injury. So that would put him back for the Rams game on the 26th or in Lambeau on January 2nd. But the Vikings are going to go to Chicago at Soldier Field. The Bears lost to the Packers last night. Yes, Aaron Rodgers still owns them, if you've forgotten. It's the most gangster shit I've heard all year. It's like, I still own you. The Bears are a mess, but the Vikings historically don't play well against them. I'll be interested to see how Justin Fields fares. He's still a little inaccurate. I'm glad Nagy's still the coach. I think they would have some juice if they were freshly to fire him and they would get an interim coach, because the interim coach came in whenever he got COVID and they won a game. So shout out to my buddy.
Oh, yeah,
James.
that's right.
Yeah. You remember that?
Yeah.
He is the problem there. Shout out to my buddy James Hart of 18 Visions and Burn Halo. I saw the Chargers and Vikings game with him out in California. And he said, the Vikings they've got 3.5 points. They're the favorites. And I was like, have you seen this team this year? He's like, no, you guys should win this game easily. I was like, you put up a fight against the Packers last night.
This Vikings team doesn't seem capable of winning anything easily. So,
well, that's the other thing too. Like, it's weird how time flies. You remember that Cincinnati and Arizona games back to back? That was this season. That wasn't that long ago, but it feels like ancient history.
Yeah.
The Vikings have 4 games left. Realistically, based on record and projection, they should win half of those. They should beat the Bears twice because they're not that good of a team. It's at Chicago, home against the Rams, at Green Bay, home against the Bears. So I don't know. The Rams are weird. They have lost 3 of their last 4 games. They're playing right now. I don't know how they're doing against the Cardinals. I don't project them to win. Packers and in Green Bay are going to be completely different. I see that being a pretty one-sided game, if you ask me. And if it comes down to week 18 and the Bears, they got to beat the Bears to get in. We've seen this happen 3 out of the last 4 years, I think. You're not going to beat Chicago and get in the playoffs. It's not going to happen. So I don't know what this team's going to do. If they can play just even slightly above their potential, I mean, they could hang with all of these teams, but it's the inconsistency, right?
Yeah. This team, more than any other Vikings team that I've watched, I'm looking at I got schedule in front of me here right now too, where I've got notes wrote down on it. This team, more than any other Vikings team that I can remember watching, is so difficult to try to predict what you think they're going to do down the stretch, because I still don't know the identity of this Vikings team, and we got 4 games left.
Offensively, I think you have to run the ball, and you're going to take deep shots to Jefferson and Thielen, but defensively, they're a mess. They are an absolute. I think the graphic the other day showed they're like 30th in rushing and like 27th in the pass. It's terrible. And
if I'm going with my gut, I'm going to say Away at Chicago, I think it's going to be close. I think they're all going to be close. I think they can kind of upset, get a win. We don't historically do that. Home against the Rams, they're going to be tough. They're going to be hungry. I think that's probably a loss. At Lambeau, are they resting starters or not resting starters in Week 17? We don't
They're
know.
going to be fighting for that number 1 seed. They're behind. They're
Okay,
behind Arizona right now.
that's always tough. I'm not picking this team to win in Lambeau Field, not this year. The final game, the Bears at home. Are we gonna beat them twice in 1 year?
Twice in a month.
Twice in a month?
I
I
highly
don't
doubt
know,
it.
but I do like home field advantage for the Vikings. So I'm going to say a win.
Okay. So that puts your
So-
team at 9-7. Or
Yeah.
I'm sorry. They have 7 losses right now. So that would be 8-9. Are they going to get in at 8-9?
But 8-9 feels about right for how this team should finish.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
No, it does.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. You're right. If they won out right now, they could be 10-7. This team still has a chance as we do the show to get double-digit wins, which is insane.
You know what's funny? Look at this. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So I got my wins and losses wrong, but my best case prediction for this team, can you see that?
Yeah, 10-7.
10-7. 10-7. I had them going 6-11 was my kind of conservative.
Hey, they can still do that.
Yeah.
They can still do that too. They can still shit the bed, roll around it, and make art right now.
I had all the way down here on the bottom. I have my nuclear option where they went 3-14. Or that
nuclear. What's up, Cliff? Why the heck are we giving away 29-point leads? That's just this season, man. That's exactly what this team does. They'll go up against Green Bay and go shot for shot and win on a field goal, and then they'll get dominated by the Browns and not score points for 3 quarters.
I've been on Team Fire Zimmer for a while now, and I feel kind of bad after this last press conference. We meant to play the video, but then I got sidetracked with that amazingly bad Kid Rock music video, and so I didn't get the Mike Zimmer press conference queued up because that's how we prioritize here on the podcast. But you listen to the podcast where Mike Zimmer sounded like he had been crying right before he talked to the media. He got very emotional discussing the players and like what they need to do to play better on the field and whatnot. So I feel bad for him because I feel like he understands what this team still needs to do to be a success, but that either the talent isn't there the way he thought it was, or the game has passed him by just enough that his style of coaching isn't as successful as it used to be.
That's absolutely right. And you know what? Like we have said many times, and I'll give you the credit for it because you brought it up first. If he would go to another team next year and be their defensive coordinator, they would improve. I don't know how much. It depends on the team. It depends on if they already have a really great defense. But I just,
yeah, that's fair. That's a fair comment down there right now.
Jody Jefferson's. What does that mean? I don't comprehend, but I would like to know more. Let's talk about coaching, man. This is my disaster scenario right here. You ready? They keep Rick Spielman as the GM. They fire Mike Zimmer, and they promote somebody within, not named Andre Patterson, to be the head coach. I will burn US Bank Stadium to the fucking ground if that happens. You mark my words. Go ahead and use this as evidence for arson. I will burn that fucking stadium to the ground. Do not promote Adam Zimmer anymore. Do not promote Clint Kubiak to head coach. I love Andre. I don't think Andre wants to be a head coach. I think he's stapled enough here and he's fine with his role. I cannot stress you enough. Stop this hiring within bullshit. I get it. They know the place very well. However, you know what you should have done to hire within? Look at Cleveland. If you wanted a head coach that was here, you should have took him. That's what you should have done. Because Stefanski's doing an all right job with pretty much the same squad over there. By the way, that division's way tougher than ours. So that's my disaster scenario. I don't think that they would do that. There's not a chance to say never, because they could, but I don't think that's likely. I am interested in this scenario where they keep Spielman and put him in a different role. I just want him to do something else. I think his time's come and gone, much like Zimmer. I have no ill will towards him. It just didn't work.
That's an interesting theory that is being floated around a little bit online that I personally hadn't thought of before it got brought up. But Mark and Ziggy Wilf have a lot of respect for Rick Spielman, a lot of respect for him. So I could see it being a difficult decision for them to want to fire him. And so this idea of we're going to create this other VP position within the Minnesota Vikings, and that's where you're going to go to, Rick. We're going to put you in this broom closet over here, and we're going to bring in another person to be the general manager to oversee all of that. I could see that happening. Personally, I don't want that because I still feel like Rick is going to have too much of an influence for personnel decisions and whatnot, because he will still he has the ear of the owners at that point. And so if the new GM comes in and says, hey, we want to go in a completely different direction from where we were previously, well, maybe Rick doesn't like that. And maybe Rick goes to the Wilf family and tells them, hey, I don't like this. I don't think that's a good idea. Who are they going to listen to? That's why I think it's important to get a whole fresh new set of eyes. Now, Keep in mind, we don't know if any of this is happening. We're off in fantasy land.
Yeah, this is speculation.
This is total fantasy land right now. But as Minnesota Vikings fans, sometimes we just know what's going to happen with this team. And doesn't that seem like something that the Vikings would do?
It does. And I think what it comes down to, like, I had a meeting for work the other day, and I put an emphasis on, like, we were trying to problem solve, and I put an emphasis on a couple of words. One of them was accountability, because it was my nice way of saying, are you going to smack people in the dick for their bad decisions that affect other people? That's kind of what I wanted to say, but I had to present it this way. What emphasis do the Vikings have on culture and the need for a fresh start? Because a lot of these players are burned out on Mike Zimmer. And I love this right here. Andrew said it great. I think this is a great one. They've had really good people at personnel wise and players on this team, and they've shined. But when it comes down to elevating a player who's a C plus, B minus to a B plus, it's not happened very often. Not at all. And that's a very good point.
I'll give Zim credit. When he first came in, I thought that he grabbed a hold of Xavier Rhodes and made him his pet project, where, like, I am going to help turn him around. And for a couple seasons, I thought he did a really good job with Rhodes. Like, he took him from a struggling player to back to being, hey, Rhodes closed, we're going to put him on the best offensive player, and he's going to shadow them, and he's going to shut them down. He did a really good job with that. Since then, it's been a bit of a hit or miss. We've seen the Vikings take a lot of flyers on a lot of different corners that are just flat out not with the team anymore.
Yeah, that's a good. Hey, I bet he'll always love Xavier, even though he used to give him so much shit, and they catch it on camera. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
but he was a good player for him, and he had some moments. I mean, that 2017 season, Jesus, man, he locked up Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, all these elite receivers, OBJ, just wild how good he was against those players.
That was the season where every week, like, the headline story on NFL Network would be like, what's wrong with this wide receiver? Well, they played that and like,
when are they going to name Case Keenum the starter? Is like, did he start? So what are you what are you waiting on? Like, Bradford's hurt. Who else are we going to put out there? Is Joe Webb still on the team? No, Teddy Bridgewater was.
I definitely agree with Cliff here. It's difficult to say that, I'm a fan of the Vikings, but it's difficult to say that I'm a fan of this specific Vikings team because they make themselves so easy to hate, whether it be coaching or, like we said, you're up 29 points and we're all sitting at home. And as soon as it started to happen, all three of us in the chat were like, well, we know where this is headed.
Yep.
So
this is the flip side to that conversation about how it's all Zim's fault. Zim can't go on the field. At some point, you're a professional, and whether or not you're the third, second, or first string, you got to go out and perform. And a lot of these players have not performed well. There's a handful that have been really good: the Jeffersons, the Cooks, the Thielens, and when he's healthy, Danielle Hunter, Eric Kendricks is really good. Outside of those five that I named. Maybe Kirk. This is probably Kirk's best year statistically, but he's had a couple clunker games. But outside of that, the depth has not played well. And at some point, we can only cap like a catalytic converter. What is it? The thing that the governor in a car. It makes you cap out at a certain speed. You can only govern it to Zimmer's fault so far. These guys got to perform too, and you got to put some blame on these players too. Like the other day, God, when I tell you I wanted to throw a fucking brick through my TV at Bashad Breeland, turn around. Everybody knows turn around. If you're gonna have PI, turn around. And I don't know what Chris Board was doing the other night. He was awful. I mean, just terrible. Andrew, this is such a nice way to say it. Certainly not getting better.
Yeah, I like that too. That's pretty funny.
Go ahead, man.
What was I going to say? How much of the blame do you place on? I know it's not as easy as like, oh, well, this is the person that's at fault for it. But how much of the blame do you place on Rick Spielman for being like, these are the players that I've drafted? And I'm talking about like backups or like potential starters on the team for like, these are the players drafted. Are they not living up to expectations? Or how much of it is on the coaching staff for like, these are the players you're given, you're not developing the talent that we drafted?
I put that on the GM. Coaches can coach. These guys can go out and make plays. If the guy's not, you can't coach a guy into something that he's never going to be. And I know there's an argument on the other side of that fence. I get it. But that's how I feel. You cannot coach a guy into what you hope him to be. What is he? But that's why a lot of success happens with these younger coaches. They don't make the team adjust to their formula. They adjust their formula to the personnel that they have.
Yeah.
That is not what this team does. The only thing that this team does, and I don't think they adjust around the players, they want to run the football, so they got a good running back to do that. That's not what I'm telling you. And then they want to stop the run, and they got pretty good run stuffers, especially in the last 2 years. But this is my thing. Rick Spielman with all those cute bullshit, oh, let's trade back and get a bunch of picks. What the fuck do you have to show for it when you're 30th in the league in rush defense and 27th?
I want to make you know what I'm going to do for next week's episode? I'm going to make a list. I'm going to make a list since Rick Spielman became GM of this team of every 6th round and 7th round draft pick that the Vikings have had. And we're going to go through this stupid thing player by player and decide whether or not any of them have been worth a shit.
And that's not even on the Vikings if they went to somewhere else to do something.
Yes, just like in general, has this player been worth a shit? Because we laugh every year that like, oh, look how many picks the Vikings have. 8 of them.
They never trade up to try to get more blue chip or closer to blue chip talent. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
They try to do the bargain bin dollar menu thing. And I'm not trying to talk any shit on guys like Harrison Hand or those guys like, I don't even know if he was drafted. I'm not talking shit about the player individually, but at some point you got to choose quality over quantity. But he's a quantity guy all the way. It's like, well, look at the value I got for this. We're like,
and you know what that means to me?
Oh God, what?
When I'm not okay, so when I'm not good at something, I want as many tries as possible. You know, like I'm not good. Like you go to a carnival and like, oh, I'm gonna throw beanbags at the thing, or I'm gonna shoot hoops or whatever. So like, oh, give me the most amount of tries to do this thing, to do whatever. That's kind of the Vikings draft philosophy. Just give me a bunch of picks. and we're going to throw these darts at the dartboard, and we're going to do it 18 times. And out of the 18, we're going to hope we hit on like 4 of them.
I get the theory if this is part of their mindset of, well, the more swings that you have, like you said, the more chances you have to hit. However, when you keep striking out, that's on you. I mean, there's nothing else there. And like, I'm sorry, guys, I don't want this to be true, but it'll be as true as the words and the tone and the inflection coming out of my mouth here in a second until I get proven the hell wrong. You go and take Kellen Mond in the 3rd round. I was a big fan of him because of Instagram. That dude's never going to start and become a full-fledged beat somebody out starter in the NFL. And you took him in the 3rd round. That's where starters come from eventually. You take guys like that. You go sign Sean Mannion off the street. For what? If Kirk goes down, you're fucked anyways. But at least have a guy that can compete. Like Carolina sucks right now with Cam Newton, right? Cam's the worst version of himself ever. But at least you have like the diet aid off-brand of him, PJ Walker from the CFL. Like you have a formula there. Sean Mannion's never thrown a touchdown. That's your general manager's fault. Why is the drop-off from signing Patrick Peterson and then who would be the opposite, Bashad Breeland? Why is the drop-off there so bad?
You also got a... By the way, we got a question from Gene. Where's Adam tonight?
Oh, sorry, Gene. Adam had family show up at the last minute, which is always important. That's why I wasn't here last week. I was visiting my son. So if he has company come over, specifically family, he said, hey, you guys take over, have a great show. And we said, don't leave us unsupervised.
We got her. Here's the thing that I always like to bring up is that remember that Breeland and Patrick Peterson were both just available. They were just there. No one was really fighting for them.
Right.
They were just there. And Peterson wanted to come here, probably because of Mike Zimmer. So take that for what it's worth here. I mean, I know those were big free agent signings, but I mean, it's who did we have to really fight for?
Well, I'll tell you I'll tell you what they won't fight for. They won't be aggressive in trying to pursue people outside of like the mediocre. And I'm not shitting on him, guys. We're going to miss him when he's gone, but outside of like Kirk Cousins, there was only like 3 teams in the race for Kirk Cousins. And the other one was one of the 3 were the Jets. So
that's what we were talking about. And I disagree with Adam a little bit. Like, I had made the comment that it's going to be really difficult to try to do any kind of mock draft for the Vikings until we know what they're doing with GM and head coach and what direction they're heading for the team. Now, obviously, glaring holes on the team are still glaring holes on the team.
Right.
We need a corner, whoever's at the top or bottom of this roster.
We need 2. We need 2 quality corners because one's going to get injured and then you're going to have no depth.
You can step that up to 3, but until we get those off-season ones answered, I think any kind of mock draft for the Vikings at this point is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, there's not going to be any quarterbacks coming out. You're guys. We discussed this in the chat earlier today. You're married to Kirk Cousins for another year at a minimum,
and you should.
I think it's going to be beyond that.
I
honestly think he's going to be here another 3 or 4 years. I really do.
Let me find that list.
We have a great list of all the free agent quarterbacks coming up next year, and you're going to want to find a toilet really quick and puke because it's not good.
Do you want me to read the whole thing?
Read most of them.
Okay. So
these are your options if you want to look on the free agent market because we are assuming that the Deshaun Watson legal issues are not going away, which they're not. Russell Wilson's not coming here. Aaron Rodgers is definitely not coming here. So here you go. This is your talent pool per Kyle West.
So we got Ben Roethlisberger, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, Cam Newton, Tyrod Taylor, Jameis Winston, Jacoby Brissett, Teddy Bridgewater. We love you, Teddy, but this is your 3rd team in as many years as that. So I don't necessarily know if Teddy is anyone's answer for.
He's not better than Kirk Cousins. He's not.
Or anything. Marcus Mariota.
Nope.
Joe Flacco.
No.
Mitch Trubisky.
No.
Old Mitchell. Tim Boyle. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, it's my Thanos voice. I don't even know who you are.
Yeah. Blaine Gabbert.
Oh God, he's still in the league.
Chad Henne. I thought he retired. So there you go.
Those
Brandon
are your lists.
Allen. Brandon
Oh,
Allen. We're not done yet.
oh no,
Mike Glennon and AJ McCarron.
Mike Glennon's low key Kyle's favorite quarterback.
He makes me mad.
Look at this. This is a fire comment right here. Is that the list of quarterbacks who have beaten the Vikings? I don't think Jameis has, so that's not a complete list, but some of those guys do have dubs over this team. Oh, that's annoying.
But I mean, when we talk about how we're not moving on from Kirk Cousins.
Oh, no.
This is what we mean.
And this is it right
here. We won't trade Kirk. We will resign. We will, definitely, 100%.
I think he's going to be here for another 3 or 4 years now. Honestly, I really do, because until the cap becomes such an issue, and until you have that one draft where you have like Mahomes
and Kyle Smith comment.
his wife is hot as shit. Wait, McCarron, didn't he play for Alabama or Georgia? One of those two. He was a big SEC quarterback. I forget. But yeah, until there's that draft class, it's like, oh my, there are 4 legitimate like starting guys. Like even this year, it's only year 1, so we can't say anything about Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. But it's one season, guys. We got to calm down on that. But the prospects were there, where it's like, well, he's probably take fucking quarterback. Like even Mac Jones, everybody said he sucked. Quietly the number 1 seed with him quarterbacking that team. It's 4 starters in the top 15 picks, right? In quarterbacks. Until the Vikings have that option out there, dude, Kirk's not going anywhere. You'd be insane to trade him, because like we always say, and I know I for one on this show have said this a million times, if you're not upgrading, what the hell are you even doing? So how are you going to upgrade from Kirk?
Yeah. There's a lot of articles. It's really popular right now to write articles about where Kirk Cousins is going to go after the Vikings. And I always look at it, because we're Vikings fans, for like, well, from our perspective, for who? For what? Like, what are we replacing Kirk? There's no one ever has an answer for what we're doing to replace Kirk Cousins with.
Well, you got those morons out there they're on the Mond, like, we got to start killing Mond. No, you don't. No, you know what? I hope it happens where Kirk gets, I don't want to say I hope Kirk Cousins gets COVID. I don't mean that in any way. I wasn't going to go that far. Yeah. I hope there's a situation where we have to start killing Mond, so you can see how jittery and not ready this kid is. Because you're going to eat crow, and then I'm going to be here to be like, ha, you're dumb. For a whole hour. That's all I'm going to do.
Remember preseason, Kellen Mond?
Wasn't good. And I'm not saying that he can't get better.
I think he's got a lot of
what's the ceiling there?
He's got a lot of potential. I think he could be a pretty good long-term backup quarterback for the Vikings. Like I
that'd be cool.
Like that. I think that Kellen Mond could do that. I forgot what I was just going to make another point about Kirk. I don't remember where I was going with that.
Sorry, I'd probably jacked that up for you. That's my fault.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was going to say. So if you believe that we're going to have a new head coach and a new general manager, do you really want them in that free agency class of quarterbacks that we just discussed, and how poor this draft class is for quarterbacks? Do we want to put a first-year head coach and first-year GM under the pressure of finding a new quarterback when that is what you have to work for? You're setting them up to fail. You don't want to do that.
I swear to God. And the talent's not going to be as good as, like, okay, maybe if you're like my buddy James I mentioned earlier, you have hope that Justin Fields can be the guy because he's athletic, he's got a big arm, blah, blah, blah. Maybe there's hope in one of those, but none of these in this draft class coming up are anywhere close to starters. I know that kid from like, it's Kentucky or West Virginia or somewhere. He's gonna go because one always does. But that's or Ole Miss maybe. I don't remember that. I don't follow college football. The Tar Heels are terrible. But
here's the other thing to talk about too. To think about too. let's say the Wilfs only go halfway. Let's say we keep Rick Spielman and we're just going to get rid of the head coach, because I could see doing that as well too. Are you going to trust Rick Spielman based on his track record to draft you another top quarterback? I don't want that to happen. I don't know why why would you want to trust Rick to draft another quarterback when you think that even if he doesn't get fired, he's potentially on the hot seat in another couple seasons? I just don't buy anything other than keeping Kirk around for another couple seasons until a better option comes along. Because guys, we're not getting Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's about the only guy that I would be willing to replace Cousins with, would be Rodgers. And I don't see any scenario where he would leave Green Bay and go right to the Vikings. Like that's not going to happen.
Let's get Gus Frerotte. Cliff says, get rid of Rick and Zimmer, keep Kirk. That's the scenario that would work best for the whole team. If they're going to do a reset, are they going to do that? I don't know, but I think that would be cool if that's the route that they decide to go. We'll wrap the show up here shortly. I agree too, Jonathan. I don't hate the kid at all. I think there was a lot of hype there on the internet, but he's a project, and I don't think there's a coaching staff here that's going to build him up to his potential. I don't believe it. I think you got lucky with Kirk, and I think if everything goes right, he can do everything on the map if the map isn't jumbled. But it's we're not even going to talk about Kirk Cousins. It's fine. He's fine. We're going to keep him. It's fine. Could be a lot worse. Let's wrap this show up, and we're going on an hour here, which is wild. You can be happy. You can be happy about that win on Thursday, even though they blew a 29-point lead. They still figured it out. I think that touchdown at the end to KJ was a big stepping stone, because had they lost, I don't know what the hell will be going on with this team. I'll let Kyle close if he wants to talk about this too. We all think Mike Zimmer is going to retire. It's a good theory brought up by Adam and Kyle, not myself. I'm not taking credit for that, but my only contribution with that was talking about Courtney, his daughter. I follow her on Instagram. She posts text messages between her and Mike Zimmer all the time. It's her dad. And it just seems like he's worn out. And I'm sure he's tired of hearing all the shit from
part of the Chris Tomlinson.
Yeah, he's Chris Thompson too. Yeah. He's a douchebag. But
no, I think that exactly where you're going is I think that's why he was so emotional in that press conference. Is he's probably he's probably realized that, hey, my career, my passion is coming to a close. And that's difficult.
Right.
Because I've never got into this theory that some fans float around that Mike Zimmer just doesn't care. He's given up. He cares a lot, guys.
That's the stupidest thing ever. This guy loves football, and you don't get pissed off about something if you don't care. That's the stupidest thing in the world. That's why it's so funny on Twitter where everybody's like talking all this shit about the Vikings. It's like, if you didn't care, you wouldn't be here wasting the time and the effort.
I'm like I said, I'm pro #fire Mike Zimmer, but we are talking about the guy who's retina detached and still came back and coached his team with an eye patch. I will never question his passion.
The dude was already making millions of dollars, and his wife passed away. He could have walked away from football a long time ago. Football was his new wife, if you want to call it that. I don't mean any disrespect to that. I'm not comparing a game to a person, but after you lose your spouse about however long, this is what you got, because he didn't have grandkids at the time. So
I think it's a good way for the Vikings and Mike Zimmer to split, for them to be like, hey, we're gonna do the press conference where it's the retirement and the owners come out and we talk about how tough he was, and we can bring up the good wins, and hey, this is when we had we just had a top 10 defense a couple seasons ago underneath him, and we can talk about all those positives that he brought about the team and the culture change and whatever. And that allows Mike to step away. And then if he decides, I'm going to be on Deion Sanders' coaching staff in college, he can go help out Deion. or he can go do whatever else he wants to go do. I think that would just be a nice way for them to kind of split.
That's high speed, Andrew. I think everybody's always going to bring up Dennis Green, but yeah, he's up there. Zim's up there. He's a quality person, hard nosed dude, and I love him to death and wish him nothing but success and a long, healthy life after football because he's got grandkids to enjoy. We know that's a big thing. I just feel bad, and he's going to leave too. Don't get this twisted, Viking fans. If he wins another game, he'll reach 70 wins with the team. He's going to win. He's going to leave this team with a winning record, not a 500. There's going to be like a whole season difference from like 70 to like 55 or something like that. He could essentially be here another year, lose all the games, and he'd finish at 500. The dude's won way more games here than he's lost. You just don't like the recency because it's been 2 years of, hey, I thought you were a defensive guy. Why does the defense suck? So he wasn't a bad head coach.
It's a valid question. It's a valid question too. Why does the defense suck so bad? I don't have an answer.
Yeah, but God, we're not going to figure that out.
yeah. I don't know.
With how much rotating they've done with like injuries, number one, that's one. Hunter going down, Griffin's being gone, just that broke my heart because they were starting off together, leading the league in sacks, and you're like, it's happening. They're back. Oh my God, COVID, and then I don't know what to do about these corners, man. These corners are they make me want to rip my hair out. Oof.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I know you guys are not as big of a fan of Alex Boone is what I've kind of turned into. He's on the Vikings podcast that I listen to, but he's got an interesting perspective where he talks about how soft a lot of younger players. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Andrew. But he talks about how soft a lot of younger players are and how he feels that Mike Zimmer has a hard time relating with younger talent because Zimmer was used to, back in the old days, you just yelled at people. And you just you grabbed them by their shirt collar and you yelled at him and you told him, get the fuck over here. And here's your assignment and get in your gap and do this and do that. And Boone is like, these younger players, you tell them, get the fuck in your gap, and they shut down.
Or it's wild.
Boone said that he had a center that he played with who started crying in a game. He was a younger player because a coach yelled at him and told him he messed an assignment up.
You're a professional, my dude. You can't let that.
Yeah.
Bootstraps. Yes, Andrew. Yes. That's funny coming from I was almost just under. I mean, when I tell you just under, it's like 11 years, 10 months, and like 20 something days. I was just under 12 years active duty in the military. When I tell you people used to chew my ass like it was bubble gum, I'm telling you. And I find it funny because I think that's what's needed. I think making an emphasis on right and wrong is a big deal. But also on the exact flip side, in learning and growing as a man, you don't teach people a lot of shit that way. It's a lot of just like kind of intimidation by force. Yeah. A lot of times when I get my ass chewed, I raise my hand at the end and be like, okay, that's fine. I'm used to it now. Can you teach me what I did wrong so I don't get this again? And they're just like, rah! Well, we stop this?
Hey, now I want to know, what's the worst you ever got yelled at?
Let me think on it, because it was a lot. It was a lot, and it sometimes it wasn't even the super screamers.
They just have to yell, right?
Well, you get yelled at a lot in like boot camp. Like all my vets will tell you that, but just some of the things like it's the ones when people get in your face and they break that point, and you're just like, I really want to like take my blouse off and just two-piece your face right now. But obviously you can't do that. I mean, that happens sometimes, but we did that. We did that away from everyone. But I don't know. Sometimes, yeah. I didn't know you were a vet, Jonathan. That's cool. I like to hear that. I don't think you teach people that way, you know? I don't think, and Jonathan can tell you, I can tell you now, the base that I went to, now we're just bullshitting now. We're not even talking football, but the base that I just went to for
the
work.
Vikings podcast is over, everyone. We're just
we're done with that.
Yeah.
But the base that I went to for my job with TSA is where the Air Force does basic training. I was there. I've been to that base so many times, so many months. It might as well have been a duty station for me. I'd been there almost 2 years worth of time. And from when I went in 2007 until last year now, I mean, when I tell you I was in utter shock of watching the culture change, and this is the Air Force, we're the chill branch. I can't imagine what some of the guys that were prior Marines and Army and former Navy would think now if they went on the bases and they saw the culture change. But that's how it is with the NFL. It's a culture change. Things get easier for us. Like we have technology everywhere. The mindset's totally shifted. So I'm sure a lot of the boomers out there are just like, what are they doing?
We've talked about this too on the show, where I had said that if you were to ask Mike Zimmer probably what his favorite coaching hire was on this team, it probably was Dom Capers, because like I said, they're from that same era of football where they probably got together at 5 a.m. and sat down and drank pure black coffee and talked about 1960s football terminology, because they're just two old school minds. And that's just that era that they're from. And so it probably is difficult for Mike Zimmer. How old is he? 67?
Oh, he's close to 70. Yeah.
67, 68. It's got to be difficult to relate to these kids that are right out of high school and understand how to teach them, how to mold them into being football players. Going younger, that makes me wonder too, if part of the reason why like Sean McVay has had so much success, is it because he's a football genius? Yes, of course. Also, being more age appropriate to the players might help out quite a bit as well too. I mean,
that's a good point. It's got to be. It's got to be an advantage.
Yeah, I know.
Because you only have so much. That's why people like Belichick, they're so hard to find two of. And that's why people stay there too, because you're not going to find that.
Here's the difference between a Belichick and a Zimmer, is that Belichick has the pedigree, the Super Bowl pedigree, where the younger players are like, yeah, I will do whatever you say. Mike Zimmer has a different kind of pedigree.
Hell, the vets do that. You remember Chris Long came out and trashed, like I heard it on the Dan Le Batard show where he trashed being the Patriots. He's like, fucking suck, man. We never had fun. He's like, but we did win a championship, so that was really cool. And it's like, well, no shit. That's what they do there.
Yeah.
Like they purposely come there to hate life because they know they're gonna drill everyone to play. Like it's so funny.
Now,
Bill Belichick in Minnesota, I love you.
Zimmer has a pedigree too, but it's a different kind of pedigree because it's way more specific. And like, I'm sure a lot of the kids know who primetime Deion Sanders is, but they might know him more as an analyst.
Oh God, yeah, you're right.
Than a football player. And so you talk about like those Dallas Cowboy teams of like, oh yeah, Troy Aikman, the analyst. So like it's a different sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll end that tonight. We'll end the show on that. The pedigree. What is Mike Zimmer's pedigree? The double A gap blitz. That's the Godfather. Aaron Rodgers said it himself.
Yeah.
And corners, man. It's like I am the corner guru, or at least I was back in my heyday. So corners and blitz. I mean, that's a pretty good pedigree to have. I'm gonna be sad when Mike Zimmer leaves. I'll be upset. I will not be upset that he gets fired. Because I think it's deserved at this point. I don't think you could justify it anymore, but I'll be sad that he's gone because I like him a lot. He's a good dude.
It's like Leslie Frazier. It's time to go. Respect him. We always respected Leslie Frazier, but it was time to go.
Got to watch that film, man.
He's been watching a lot of film in Buffalo.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to everyone in the comments. Michael, Cliff, Andrew, Jonathan, all you guys. We appreciate it. Check everybody's workout offline outside of football. Adam Carlson's not here, but you can check out his articles about Viking football at thevikingage.com. He is also a guest on the Viking Age podcast a lot with Adam Patrick, who is a writer on the Viking Age as well. Go check out Adam Carlson's work on the Viking Age. I encourage you to interact via comments on there. That'll boost his numbers. That'll get him more money per month to pay the bills. This is his livelihood. So I highly recommend you check it out. Sometimes on Twitch and his YouTube channel here under the handle MN, like Minnesota, Viking Zombie. Sometimes he and I do horror movie reviews. We're probably going to do one soon before Christmas because I need to pick up the ball. My bad. Check out his social media, man. He's a fun follow. He's a fun guy, and he would love the interaction. So you should do that for him. There's Mr. West stuff up there for you guys to check out.
Heyo, you can check out my photography work. I know we're going long on this week's show, so I will keep it short. Lots of unique stuff. Always adding more to it. I have some new pictures that I will be putting up soon, so give it a look. If nothing else, please share on social media because that always helps as well too.
There's where you can find Kyle West on social media at Vaguely Square, all the good platforms, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun
Instagram, and the MySpace,
top 8,
MSN Messenger.
I really miss MySpace when you would go there and a song would start playing. That was my favorite part.
Were you an MSN Messenger or an AOL?
No, I was AOL Instant Messenger. I got my first girlfriend that way. Actually, it was really fun.
We would not have been friends because I was on the.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that we've evolved, but yeah, that would not have been fun. Thank you guys for the good show. We appreciate that. This is my stuff you can follow me on. I'm mostly on Instagram. I don't really check Facebook that much. I have a TikTok, but I don't post on there. I just laugh at videos and null my brain into the void because that's all that thing's for. But that's it, man. We've talked way too long. I'm sorry. This is why we gotta have an adult on the show to wrap this shit up. But we'll be back sometime next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on our schedules. The Vikings are favorites in Chicago, so let's beat the Bears. Let's keep the season going, and we'll give you an update. You got anything else for him?
That'll do.
That'll do. You guys, we love you. Take care. Have a good weekend and stay classy, Minnesota.